Welcome. I'm Jessica Tejan, and this is the Evolving to Exceptional podcast, where we talk about reaching peak performance in our workplaces, homes, and communities so that we can live our best life possible, an exceptional life. I'm fine. It's fine. It's all fine. These are words I use all the time. It's okay. It's fine. Everything's fine. It's all going to be fine. Whenever crises and challenges occur, my body activates like the soldier I've trained it to be. At the exact moment a person would appropriately and naturally be filled with feelings, my shields of armor appear. These internal shields spring into action to protect me from feeling. Like the chant of a marching army, my mind begins repeating, I'm fine, you're fine, it's fine, it'll all be fine, everything will be fine. This pattern of mine is well worn and activates instantly to protect me from any pain. If I don't allow myself to feel, I can rally all my energy towards surviving the impending threat, crisis, or challenge. My brain, the commander, begins barking orders, focus on the problem, identify what needs to be solved, determine who needs to be called or supported, and figure out what can I start doing right now to survive this struggle. My body responds immediately, the ever-loyal soldier, shutting down both my emotional and physical needs, its only duty to execute orders from the nervous system and brain for how to survive. Orders that aren't conscious, but rather programmed patterns we've long relied upon to keep us alive, to survive. Just as a highly trained and effective army executes their mission with meticulous precision, our bodies fall into line, both obeying commands and acting on instinct. Only when the threat has subsided and the crisis is averted can we begin to consciously consider our actions. Unfortunately, the lives we live today have us moving from one crisis right into the next with barely a breath in between. In today's world of chaos and confusion, there is little time for recovery and even less time for reflection. Our bodies and brains simply execute pre-programmed commands, reacting instinctively to every threat and challenge. You might be thinking, but most of us aren't at war or having our lives threatened every day. Why then would our bodies be acting as if we are? Our subconscious intelligence. Our bodies aren't equipped to consciously consider all the data we receive every moment of every day. In fact, we are only able to consider consciously an infinitesimally small amount. Most of the data is processed by our subconscious intelligence in the neural networks of which we have very little conscious control. Our subconscious learns patterns early in life that become our ways of being, thinking, feeling, and behaving, and surviving. We don't control our subconscious. It processes information, compares it to our past experiences, and then shifts our body into what it believes to be the best pattern to help us survive. Then it directs the body to execute that pattern. Our subconscious is really the commander-in-chief who is running the operations of our brains and bodies. Once it decides there is a threat, it immediately shifts our nervous system into states of fight, flight, fawn, or freeze based upon which is most likely to help us survive, or has worked the best in similar situations in the past. Reflect. Think about the last time things hit the fan in your life. What was your first reaction? What did you think? What did you feel? What did you do? My experience. I got a chance to do this myself because Christmas break came once again with challenges and trauma. After Christmas, I got a cold just as we arrived to visit out-of-town family. But it was the moment my husband called me from the urgent care that was the start of my serious struggle. I've got good news and bad news. Which do you want to hear first? He asked. I responded with, just tell me all of it. I had just gotten in the car with my twin 5-year-old girls and mother-in-law after taking them to the park. We were visiting his family out of town that morning, and he was in so much pain I insisted he go to the urgent care. One moment I was thinking he'd be home soon. The next he was telling me he needed surgery immediately to have his appendix removed. Bad news, surgery. Good news, we found it before it burst. In that moment, my commander took control of everything. It'll all be fine. Shut emotions down. Focus on what you need to do next. I did just that. What did he need? What did my kids need? Who did I need to notify? What needed to be done? What could I do? I did all the things. I handled it all. It's fine. I'm fine. Everything's fine. I've got it. People offered to help. For the most part, I said, no, we're fine. We've got it. His surgery went well. He came home to his mom's house a few days later. I packed everything. His brother loaded our car and we drove home. Still fine. It's all okay. But I was exhausted. I was sick, losing my voice, and I was numb. I listened to books, watched shows, and slept a ton the next few days. Anything to not feel my feelings. I've always been great in a crisis. In fact, I'm so good that for a long time I thought it was a gift. I wore my ability to handle things as a badge of honor. Only recently have I learned that my special skill is really the result of my past patterns and that it's not always a healthy or helpful response. It's easy to see how being praised for being a handler who is always fine and always able to deal with anything would create a pattern. I just had to sacrifice myself, ignore my own needs, shut down my fears, and refuse to feel my feelings. In exchange, I could become the heroine and person everyone else could rely upon. A position of honor, but also one of self-sacrifice. This pattern persists in my life again and again and again. It might be easy to dismiss as no big deal or even appreciate it as an admirable trait. But the truth is, this pattern prevents me from feeling my feelings. This pattern often leaves me shut down, numbing myself to try not to feel or acknowledge what lies beneath the surface. Whether it's anger, resentment, loneliness, sadness, hurt, or heartbreak, I just don't want to deal with it. I gave up substances a few years ago, so instead I turned to things like sleeping, shopping, and binging books, shows, or social media. Why am I so afraid of facing my feelings? Why do I go to such lengths to avoid my own inner thoughts and feelings? Why can't I just face and feel them? What am I so afraid of? I couldn't even answer these questions for myself because my conscious mind didn't know what the root of this pattern stemmed from to begin with. While I'm now aware of when I'm repeating this pattern, I have only just begun to reprocess the root of it. Take some time to reflect. What patterns exist in your own life? What do you do when crisis strikes? How do you respond when stress gets high in your life? What do you do to navigate conflict with others? What role do you find yourself playing again and again? Caretaker, hero, helper. What situations or challenges do you find happening to you over and over again? Betrayal, rejection, disagreement, self-sacrifice. When the world feels stressful and chaotic, as it often does right now, we will find ourselves more frequently drawn to the patterns that have protected us in the past. These patterns play out in our lives and work every single day. They get in the way of our growth and evolution. They prevent us from having better relationships. They can even hurt our health. Identifying them is the first step to releasing, reprocessing, and rewiring.